America has been downgraded, and that's our lead story tonight. The US, as you would know, dominates the global financial world. Financial managers want to invest in America. A US government bond is considered as safe as gold. And the dollar, for all the pushback it faces, remains the world's default currency. But America's dominant position is now under stress. A leading credit rating agency has downgraded the US. The name of the agency is Fitch. It assesses credit worthiness of countries, and it believes that the US is not as trustworthy as it used to be. So today they announced a downgrade, and the White House is pushing back. They've issued aggressive statements to counter the downgrade. This is, at best, damage control. We'll tell you why, but first the details of the downgrade. What does it even mean? What is a downgrade? Let me explain. Do you remember your grade card in school, your report card? It was an assessment of how you performed in different subjects. There were grades from A to F. A means you've aced it, F means you've failed. It's quite simple. And that's exactly how the Fitch rating works. It is a report card, but for governments. And what does it assess? Their financial health. Investors and lenders rely on these ratings. They use the rating to assess if they should buy a certain government bond. The rating helps them decide whether or not they should stay invested in a country. And this is the rating we're talking about tonight. Let's look at the Fitch report card. Earlier, America was rated AAA, AAA, the highest. The US was the school topper, the best in class, one of the safest places to keep your money. Now, it has been pushed one level down from AAA to AA+. How bad is that? Well, technically speaking, not very bad, just a notch down in the pecking order. But along with the rating, Fitch has also shared an analysis, and it merits a closer look. Fitch says this downgrade does not happen overnight. America's position has been gradually deteriorating. And broadly, there are three problems: erosion of governance, rising government deficit, and high levels of debt. In fact, debt is what Fitch is the most worried about. America's national debt stands at more than $30 trillion. It is the highest in the world, $30 trillion. And the US struggles to manage it. And on that front, Fitch has issued a scathing indictment. In fact, let me quote from that report. In Fitch's view, there has been a steady deterioration in standards of governance over the last 20 years. The repeated debt limit, political standoffs, and last-minute resolutions have eroded confidence in fiscal management. There is a clear takeaway from this. Fitch has lost trust in America. It doesn't think that the US is the best anymore. And that's not sitting well with Washington. The Biden administration has come down hard on Fitch. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the Fitch downgrade is quote-unquote arbitrary, and that it's based on outdated data. That's the term she used. Yellen said she strongly disagrees with Fitch. And the White House has said the same thing. Larry Summers has also weighed in. Larry Summers served as the Treasury Secretary during the Clinton years, and he says the Fitch decision is quote-unquote bizarre and inept. Then we have statements from some leading economists. They've used words like strange and puzzled. But if you look closely, it is not strange at all. America owes more than $32 trillion. That is a real number. It's not an estimate. And every few years, this debt leads to a political standoff. You see, the US has something called the debt ceiling. That's a concept that they have. The government cannot borrow beyond a certain limit. So when it is about to run out of cash, it tries to raise the limit, or the debt ceiling, as they call it. Lawmakers from both sides have to come together then. They have to pass a bill. To keep the government running, they must pass this bill. And this often leads to an impasse. In some cases, even a total shutdown of government. Since the 1970s, there have been a total of 21 shutdowns, 21 government shutdowns in the US. This year, they almost defaulted on their debts, the US government. The Biden administration wanted to borrow money, but the Republicans were not on board. It went down to the wire. They waited till the very last minute to pass the new budget and raise the borrowing limit. So the US narrowly avoided a default. There was no shutdown, but the uncertainty spooked the financial world. This Fitch report conveys the same reality. So instead of complaining, perhaps the US should set its house in order.